The Town Drunk, All My Fathers, and Happy Father's Day. The Town Drunk, All My Fathers, and Happy Father's Day. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, it probably sounds like a funny topic to talk about the town drunk mixed with Happy Father's Day. But I thought on Father's Day, I would talk about the importance of being a father and the importance of being a dad and the role that no one else can play like a father. And I know that there are many people that have the gap of not having had a close relationship with their father, or they've had a very dysfunctional relationship with their father. So if you have been blessed to have had a father, flawed as he may be, that was in your life actively and wonderfully, you are truly, truly blessed. And so I thought today I would talk a little bit about my fathers growing up and how it shaped my life and how I had to heal over time. Well, for me, I grew up, we were kind of poor, to put it lightly, and so I grew up poor. And when I was probably about 3, my parents divorced. Now, my father, he kind of hung out at the bars and hung out with the women, and it wasn't a good situation. And I think after years and years, my mom, she got fed up with it. And so I understand, and that was back in the late 50s and early 60s. And so she kind of went down her own chosen roads, which were not probably the best of decisions at that particular point. But I think being that we came from a poor area with very few opportunities, those were her choices that she made. And so my father was actually turned out to be not my biological father. He was my legal father. And I was later to find that out when I someday asked my mom, who was that man that we used to always go meet at his work, and he would give me a pocket full of change and candy. And that turned out to be my biological father, but I didn't know that, and I really had no opportunity to connect with him beyond those early years. One time, he actually stole me from my babysitter, and he had a convertible back in the late 50s. I think I was 2 or 3, and I actually remember this. And they had the police out looking for him, but he loved me as his child, and he wanted to, he wanted me, and but he ended up dropping me off at my grandmother's. But I do remember that. Everyone was so upset, and that's why it kind of sticks in my mind. But I had a good time because he gave me coloring books and crayons and candy, and I rode around in the convertible while he figured out what to do. But he was my biological father, and he didn't know what else to do back then because he had no rights. And my legal father was spending his time at the local bar and with other women. So my mom got a divorce, and so that broke my heart because my legal father was the only father that I knew up to that point. And he eventually got involved with a really nasty woman, the wicked stepmother, the first wicked stepmother. The second stepmother was not wicked, she was wonderful, but that first one. And he had a lot of girlfriends in between that I actually liked. They were nice. Peggy, I remember Peggy. She used to make me Barbie outfits for my little Barbie dolls. But that one woman that he married, the first one, she was very, very nasty, and she didn't like me. So that broke my relationship off. He later married another woman, and many years later we reconnected, and that woman played a wonderful role in my life too, later on as an adult. And so anyhow, my mom went on to marry the local town drunk, who was many years younger than she was. And he would wreck our cars. He would come home. We would have to hide out in the weeds late at night because till he fell asleep from his drunk. And so for a small child, it was very frightening to go from just my mom and I now to this man who was always drunk. And later on, my mom divorced him. And then she married the reputable man in the community, the man that everyone looked up to. And he was an amazing, wonderful, stable force as a stepfather in my life at a time I desperately needed that. He was an amazing stepfather. The only problem was my mom didn't love him. And so she was miserable all the time. And of course, he kind of had his own past too, because his wife had previously committed suicide in a very not good way. So there was all kinds of these dynamics going on in my early years, in my early lives. And I just knew that if I could ever get out of all of those situations, I would create a wonderful life for myself. And I know so many who went through similar situations who did not create a wonderful life. But for some reason, I was destined to create a great life for myself. And I always knew the value of a father because I really didn't have that in my life. And because I did not have that in my life, I knew that if I ever had children, I wanted them to have an amazing father. And so I am so grateful I chose a man that has been an amazing father to my children. And so the thing about it is this: if you're a dad, no matter how lousy of a dad you have been, it's never too late to step up to that plate and become a great father. My legal father stepped up to the plate many years later, and we had a very close and meaningful relationship up until the time he passed. And so it was never too late. It's never too late. Your kids truly, truly do want a relationship with you. I believe even when they say they don't, because of all the hurt and all the pain that perhaps was caused along the way. And so fathers play this important role, and sometimes there's such a hole in someone's life. It took me many, many, many years to get over that hole in my life. And I went through a long period of time early in my life, in my adult life, where I rejected men when they got too close. As soon as they got kind of close, I would dump them. And they didn't understand why. They just didn't understand why. And yet I was fearful that if I got too close, that I would be rejected and I would go through that deep, deep hurt of losing a father. And so I remember that. And so sometimes we play out our childhood scenarios, and I was most certainly doing that until I realized what I was doing and how it was harming my relationships, that I wasn't able to build a lasting, meaningful relationship. And so I corrected that by being aware of that pattern. And so now, of course, I have wonderful relationships. I'm fully healed at age 63 and have a wonderful life. So you can heal even after any kind of brokenness in life. And yet I'm here to tell you the importance of having a father and the importance of a father stepping up to the plate. And for those that do not have a father who steps up to the plate of life and becomes a good father at any age, then just heal yourself. You can do it. I did as well after all the trauma that I had been through as a child. And I'm here to tell you that you can heal and you can live an amazing life regardless of what you've gone through in your life. And yet I'm here to tell you happy Father's Day to you fathers that have done an amazing job. There are so many fathers that have been amazing, and I grew up around some amazing fathers. Unfortunately, at certain points of my life, I didn't have that. And so I know the value of having an amazing father. So if you're an amazing father out there, I applaud you. Or even if you're a so-so father, then get busy stepping up to the plate and being a great father. Okay? From my house to yours, happy Father's Day. May God bless you, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.